Hello all, and welcome to tonight's special review. It's actually pretty late. This is later than I've done a review for quite some time. It's almost 8 o'clock, which means usually my weekday bedtime's an hour and a half from now. But it's a weekend for me, so I'm probably going to stay up late unadvisedly. So this is a very special review because this is probably going to be the last alcohol review that I do here. At this place, I mean. I'm not going to quit at any time soon. But I'm probably not going to be buying any bottles of liquor or beer or anything to review. I'm going to really start concentrating on moving. There's probably going to be another tobacco side-by-side comparison that I record here and upload. And I'm actually pretty close in uploads right now. I'm only about a week or two behind in uploads. So, yeah. You know, it's going to be interesting. And tonight's review, well, I don't know, well, you know what I mean. Anyways, but tonight's review is going to be really interesting because I've been meaning to review this ever since I started reviewing alcohols, and I just never got around to it because I never had, a reason to celebrate. And I guess I am going to be celebrating uncertainty. Plus, I just need to get rid of this bottle. And you can kind of see here, well, maybe not. There's about this much left in this bottle. So, about a little less than a quarter, because you can see it's quite dimpled. And what is this bottle? Well, let me go and turn this off so it's not so glared. This is Jade Absinthe, Jade 1901 Absinthe. This bottle I originally procured in either 2006 or 2007 for my successful thesis defense. You have a party after your successful thesis defense, and I got that. So this is probably 13, 14 years old, and I've just had, small amounts of it over the past 10 years for very special guests or very special occasions. And I don't believe I've actually cracked this open for almost about 2012, 2013. So it's been closed since then. So it should be fairly dead leaf. Dead leaf meaning that when absinthe comes too old, it turns from green into brown as the chlorophyll sort of, the chlorophyll that colors this, sort of drains out of the plants or breaks down out of the plants. Now, this is still for sale. I highly recommend it. It's a very highly Ted Brew, the guy behind Jade Absinthe, has been working on this for decades. Long before it was legal to sell again in the United States. I got this before it was legal to sell in the United States. I had it couriered in from France, of all places, just because I wanted to go and sample absinthe. And, I've had other absinthes over the years, not too many, because it's gone down in price, but it's still very expensive. And so, it's very much something I enjoy, but I very rarely get around to because I am so poor, and it's very difficult to access these in Hawaii. I'd have to go and mail order them, which is no small feat. So the label on this looks different now, but it's still for sale. It's still highly rated, and the reason why it's called 1901 is because Ted Brew was a biochemist, and he used his knowledge of biochemistry to go and do spectral analyses of old bottles of absinthe that had been sitting around for 80 or 90 years and trying to reconstruct the chemical profile of all the absinthes that were, still in cellars in France and Switzerland and whatnot. And this one's called 1901 because this one was a reconstruction of the Pernod, the infamous Pernod absinthes bottle from 1901. And so I kind of talked for 5 minutes already. Let me go and read the back here. Absinthe PF 1901 can be taken with or without sugar. Pour absinthe into a large glass and very slowly drip water over spoon and sugar as shown in the picture. I'm going to be using this really... no, I think I'll go and grab a metal spoon from the cabinet. My one metal spoon. I am not going to be adding sugar to this because I do not care for sugar in my absinthe. I don't find it particularly bitter. And let me go and grab that spoon. So, we're going to be pouring this into a Glencairn glass, which is smaller than a traditional absinthe glass. I don't have a traditional absinthe glass because, as I mentioned before, I am poor. Hence why I'm having such trouble finding a new place to move to. So, well, isn't that something? It looks as if my cork has decayed. Luckily, don't fall in, 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 don't. This is becoming, I'm trying to break this, disintegrating as I'm pulling this out. Okay. Yeah, oh. Yeah, it looks like this cork has really dried out with time. I'm not going to finish this bottle. I'm going to figure out some way to go and recap this. Because at 68% alcohol, I believe that's 134 proof or something along those lines, or maybe even higher. I am not going to be drinking a butt ton of this. So, thick, oily, slightly yellow-green. Let's go and pull the lamp away a little bit. And move this down here, for now at least. The room is redolent of anise. Anise being the strongest flavor and smell element in absinthe. And so it's no longer completely clear on pouring. There seems to be some sort of sediment inside, just very slightly suspended within the absinthe, likely due to the cork drying out. But no big chunks of it floating around in there. I got lucky. Smell is of anise, peppermint, spice cabinet, like literally open a spice cabinet. Smells like a spice cabinet, a European meadow in spring. Still smells very green, but as you can see, the color is kind of declined a little bit. Well, I'm not really sure if you can see, but it's more yellow than green at this point. Now I have super cold water here, and I'm going to try to pour it in very slowly. Using this spoon. I'm going to lower this a little bit and kind of see perhaps the loosh as it occurs. Probably not. So I'm guessing, actually the light's not good here. So I'm just going to go and try to pour it in from this here. You can see as it louches nicely. Clouds, cloudy green forming. Now you want about 2 to 3 parts water per, actually 3 to 4 parts water to 1 part absinthe. So thick, oily, yellowy green. Let's go and turn this off so you can see a little bit better now, since it's opaque. Thick, white, milky, with a slight hint of yellow-green to it. The smell of anise has lessened somewhat, while other aromatic notes have come into play here. Spearmint and peppermint interplay. There's still anise, but it's no longer the overwhelming note around which everything else plays. A bit more of a green note. I wouldn't say cut grass, I would say more like muddled herbs, muddled fresh herbs. Endlessly complex. Honestly, I don't know how some people can even suss out all the flavors in absinthe. There appears to be a slight white sediment from the louche forming on the bottom. Again, probably an artifact of the age of this absinthe. Bitter finish. Slight, nowhere near like a hop bitterness of a beer, but an herbal bitterness in the finish that passes in just a flowery, fragrant, almost indescribable je ne sais quoi in that long-lasting finish. It's not so much on the tongue, but in the nose. Mouthfeel is creamy, smooth, luxurious. The slight hint of oiliness on the top. Bitterness is probably the wormwood, but it's just playing along in an entire symphony here. There is no, to go and mention for those of you who don't know, there is no real psychoactive effect of drinking absinthe. You don't hallucinate, you don't go nuts. Like all alcohols, it does have a certain character to it. I find that an absinthe buzz is relaxing, but with a slight clarity to it. It transitions in between 3 or 4 flavor notes from start to finish as it rolls over the tongue. Now, you want to know what's really surprising? Well, it's been years since I've last had this. This, as fine as it is right now, as beautiful as it is right now, as enjoyable as it is right now, is something of a ghost compared to when it's opened fresh, where it just booms. It just really booms. This is still endlessly complex, and I'm not going to say it's muted, because obviously when you open a bottle and it perfumes a room with the smell of anise, there's no way you can say that it's muted. But at the same time, it's not the same work of art that it was when the bottle was opened fresh. My God, this is absolutely grand. The thing about absinthe is, you never really want more than 1 or 2 glasses of it, because it's just so overwhelming in regards to the strength of the flavor, the strength of the smell, and honestly, the strength of the alcohol. Remember, this is 68% alcohol, which is... Don't make me do math right now, please. Please don't make me do math right now. 132 proof. No, 136 proof. 50 is 100 proof. 18 times 2, 20... Yes, 136 proof. So watered down even, at about 3 parts water to 1 part absinthe, as I'm doing right now. That would make it still about 20% alcohol. No burn though. That's how fine this stuff is. I just wish the edges weren't so muted, that the leaves weren't clipped off the tree, as it were. I'm not talking much because this is just such a joy to go and just drink and experience those flavors transition in your mouth. So I'm going to go, it's almost 20 minutes. This is going to be one of the longest reviews I do. I'm going to go and say this. If you don't like anise, which is sort of... Anise is very reminiscent of black licorice, though I would consider it different from actually the taste of licorice. Licorice being much more earthy, root-like, brown as it were, where anise is much more fragrant, floral, and green. But if that's what most people kind of compare it to. If you don't like the taste of black licorice, you're not going to like absinthe. If you don't like things that are somewhat bitter, you're not going to like absinthe. If you're the kind of person who likes to get sloshed on alcohol, you're not going to like absinthe, because this is not pleasant at all to overdrink. After about 3 or 4 glasses, you get hella messy, and you wake up with one of the worst hangovers you could ever possibly imagine. If you love things that are endlessly complex, like a fine beer or an aged Madeira wine, then you will like absinthe. If you like chartreuse, if you like Benedictine, you will like absinthe. Absinthe in and of itself is the ritual with the glass and with the spoon and with the louching from the clear liquid. And it louches in when you add the water. I believe that's from the anise and the hyssop, by the way. Those of you who know better can correct me. It's been a long, long while since I've read up about absinthe. The ritual, the complexity, the flavor, the entire culture around it. It's not for everyone, that's for sure. You know, nobody except the most wealthiest people would be the, absinthe collectors. You know, people chasing absinthe. It's just really expensive. Like I said, this cost me $250. Nowadays, I looked it up online. You can probably order it for about $80 a bottle, plus whatever shipping and handling it takes to get it from wherever. I know shipping alcohol costs a lot more than anything else. So, yeah. Absinthe. I'm going to be leaving this place where I've been happy for so long. I discovered a great love of mine that rivals drinking, perhaps surpasses even drinking, and is up there with poetry and music, and that is, of course, being chickens. And I am still very much wrecked inside by having to give up all my chickens. But that's life. All pain, all pleasure, all sensation is fleeting and passing. Ephemeral. I wonder what music I shall listen to tonight. My God, this is wonderful. Everyone who's a drinker, who can reasonably stomach both the price and the flavor of this, should try absinthe. Jade PF 1901. A wonderful 10 out of 10. Absinthe. Anything from Ted Brew or Jade Liquors is wonderful and should be sought out. And folks, I don't know when you'll see me reviewing alcohol again. The background will be different, the place will be different, my hair will probably be different. But things change. That's the way it goes. You can't hold on to things forever, folks. You can just do the best you can. Cheers. Salute. And until next time, folks. This has been Spike with his liquor reviews, and I hope to see you again sometime real soon. Beer and liquor reviews. I ruined this wonderful ending. Kind of like how I do everything else around here, huh? Cheers.